So good morning everyone. I'm Kunal and today I'll be talking about something known as the sign problem which plagues lattice QCD and this method known as the left shift symbol method which is a potential candidate to tackle this problem. So first starting with some motivation, very much like in statistical mechanics, our physical quantities of interest in QCD is the partition function and the expectation values. So you can see that this expression is very similar to what we get in statistical mechanics as well, just with the beta h here being replaced by the action. And calculating these numericals, these integrals analytically is a difficult task. So we usually resort to discretizing spacetime and evaluating these integrals numerically on the grid. So that is where the name lattice comes from. And one of the most common numerical methods that are used to calculate these sort of integrals is the Monte Carlo importance sampling. And the main idea behind this method is that we choose one of the functions in the integrand as a probability weight and generate a lot of phi's here according to this distribution, and then take the average over these phi's to calculate the expectation value. So this is a good method and it works perfectly as long as the action here is real, that is the function in the exponent, because this acts as a good probability weight. It's greater than zero. But as soon as the action becomes complex, this is a problem since this can no longer be interpreted as a probability weight and is even highly oscillatory. So this does not work in that case. So this is known as the complex action problem, or more commonly known as the sign problem in lattice QCD and other areas of physics as well. So now I'll be talking about one of the methods that has been recently proposed to tackle this problem, which is the left shift symbol method. And just as a disclaimer, I'll only be talking about zero-dimensional QCD models here. Uh, so I'll first start with a much more general problem. So let us say that we want to evaluate this integral I, which has a very similar structure to the expectation value integral that we had here. So the function rho here, that is the exponent, is a complex function, and it has the same problem that we have a lot of oscillations. So a proposal that we have is that we complexify this phi here and we make it complex and use Cauchy's theorem from complex analysis to deform this contour of integration. So we are originally integrating over the real axis from minus infinity to infinity, and we are proposing that we can deform this integration contour to something else entirely. And just as a reminder of what Cauchy's theorem is, it says that the closed loop contour integral for an analytic function is zero. So you can basically deform the contour as long as the endpoints are fixed, and this is even relaxed if you have infinite range, like in the case that we have here. So because all the points in the end match at infinity. So the idea is that if we are seeing what the value of the integrand is along the real line, which is marked in red here, it is highly oscillatory, and doing this integral numerically is not desirable. So we are proposing that maybe we can find some contour C bar where this integrand is nicely peaked, so we can do this integration easily. So let us say if such a C bar exists, what properties should it have? So we would want that the imaginary part of rho. So rho, just a reminder, rho was the thing in the exponent here. If the imaginary part of rho is constant along C bar, then it will kill all the oscillations. And if the real part of rho decays away from the maximum, that would ensure some sort of a convergence. So these properties are desirable, and the best thing about complex analysis is that demanding constant phase contours gives the steepest contours for free. There's a buy one get one free offer going on here. So the steepest descent and ascent contours are very easy to find and always appear at the saddle points of the real part of rho. So since rho is a complex function, uh, since rho is a complex function and is analytic, this is the real part of rho and the imaginary part of rho as well. Both are harmonic functions, so they always have saddle points. And associated to this saddle point, we have the steepest descent and the ascent contours, so which are marked in blue and red here. And we are proposing that we want to do our integration along the steepest descent contours that are marked in blue, and we want to use these other new C bars. So this is also known as the saddle point method, which was proposed long ago by Riemann. And we are trying to use a similar idea here. So just as a reminder, this is our original problem, and we use the same idea and apply this to our problem. So the rho that we discussed earlier is nothing but the minus of action in our case, and we first find the critical points by setting the derivative equal to 0, and then we find the steepest contours, uh, and they are easy to find because they are the same as the constant phase contours. So you are saying that the steepest contours are defined by some curve z of t, and this curve is parameterized by this time t. This is a fictitious time, not some real time. And what we are saying is that at time t is equal to 0, we start from the critical point. So critical point and the saddle point is the same thing. These are just the same thing. So we start from this saddle point and then we integrate forwards in time and backwards in time to generate the steepest contours. So this is done by demanding the condition of constant phase and then taking the derivative with respect to this parameter gives us this equation. This is known as the Lefschetz flow equation. And integrating it backwards in time gives us the steepest descent contours, and forwards in time gives us the steepest ascent contours. And these are known as the thimbles and the anti-thimbles. So what we want is that we want to do the integration over these thimbles. So this is the pictorial representation of how this thimble structure is actually found. And this is done by integrating this flow equation that I discussed in the last slide near the critical points. So once we have the thimble structure, we have found our steepest descent contours over which we'd want to do the integration. But the question still remains that how should we deform our original integration contour from the real line to these thimbles? So what Witten proved was that the original integration contour can be decomposed in the following way. So what we can do is we can break the integration contour as a sum over the thimbles with a weight, and this weight here is the number of intersections that the anti-thimble makes with the real line. So anti-thimble is the steepest ascent contour. So let's say if we have a structure like this, then the red line here is the anti-thimble and it intersects exactly once with the real axis. So this has c equal to 1, and this thimble would have a weight of 1 here. And using this deformation, we can easily write the expectation value and the partition function integrals in this form. And you can see that this phase factor very conveniently comes out of the integral and is no longer a problem. So I also want to emphasize that everything up to this point is exact. We have not used any numerical approximations here. The only numerics involved are in calculating these contour integrals over the thimbles. So J is the
Kunal, you
thimble.
have 2 minutes.
Yes. So I'll use this in a practical model, which this is a toy model, and this is known as the quartic
Kunal,
model.
two
And
minutes.
yes, and this quartic model, uh, uh, we set h is equal to 1 plus I and sigma equals to 1. The critical points, as always, are found by putting the derivative equal to 0, and the flow equation is found by putting z dot is equal to minus del cs bar. So bar is the complex conjugation here, and we separate into real and imaginary parts, and this gives us the thimble structure here. So if I zoom into it a bit, so the red dotted lines are the anti-thimbles, the blue lines are the thimbles, and as you can see, for the thimble 0 and 2, we have a contribution of 1 and 1 because it intersects exactly once with the real axis. But for the point 1, the anti-thimble, the dotted line, does not intersect with the real axis at all, so this thimble does not contribute. And if we decompose it like this, sorry, this should be J1 and J2. So this J1 does not give any contribution, and only J and J0 and J2 contribute to the integral. So our partition function becomes this thing with no contribution from J1, and we get a similar expression for expectation value of O. So these are the numerical results that we get from this method after doing the integrals over the thimbles. This is the only numerical integration that we do here. So these match very nicely with the exact values. So exact values can be calculated here, and so we can use this method to check if we get physically sensible results. So the aim of the community is to generalize these methods to higher dimensional QFTs. And a summary of this whole thing is that the sign problem is basically arises as a failure to interpret the probability weight in the Monte Carlo importance sampling, which is because the action becomes complex. And the left shift symbol method is what it proposes is that we find new contours of integration, which are known as the thimbles, and which are equivalent to the original domain, along which the imaginary phase is constant. So the imaginary part, the phase comes out, and the action is almost constant. The imaginary part of the action is constant, and the integral is almost evaluatable. So this still has a little problem that while doing the integral for the along the thimble, we get a Jacobian, which is also complex. This leaves a residual sign problem, but it is much milder. So this was the summary of the talk, and these are some of the references that I used, and these are the people who directly helped me understand all of this material.
Thanks, Kunal.